This is the pinion which is used, and this lever is called the rack. Both have gears on it. This has dual gears and this has normal gears. When these gears mesh with one another, and this gives us the rotational motion of the steering and the linear movement of the rack. Now steering, basically steering mechanism has few specifications. First of them is steering ratio. It is also known as the reduction ratio. Steering ratio is the conversion of the amount of turning of the steering wheel to the amount of movement of the wheels. Steering ratio is calculated by taking the ratio of one revolution of the steering wheel to the amount of change in the degree of the wheels. So of this mechanism, the steering ratio is 19:1, because when I turn the steering about 360 degrees, I experience an angular movement of about 18.94 degrees in the wheels. The steering ratio varies from car to car. In normal cars, it ranges from about 15:1 to 20:1. Another specification that of the steering mechanism is turning radius. Turning radius is the amount of space a car needs to take a circular turn. Turning radius is a misnomer. It's actually turning circle. It is the minimum space required for a car to take a complete U-turn. Again, turning radius changes from the dimensions of the car. It is around 4.4 feet for a car of this dimension, of a steering mechanism for this dimension. There are few vehicle dynamics terms like oversteer and understeer. These can also be called minor faults in the steering system. Oversteer is when the car steers more than the driver commands it to steer. That means the steering ratio without the instruction of the driver changes. As seen in the figure, the car skids as the rear wheel move more than the amount of steering required. Similarly, understeer is when the steering is less than the amount needed by the driver. Now, power steering. Power steering is a modification of this steering. This is manual steering setup. Power steering works on the principle of hydraulic assistance. There is a oil reservoir connected to a pump which is driven by the engine, and this pump sends and there is a piston in the steering setup which assists the steering to move and reduces the human effort. There are two types of power steerings: hydraulic and electric power steering. There are a few other types of steering mechanisms like speed sensitive, four-wheel steering, articulated steering, rear wheel steering, and steer by wire. These concepts are the latest concepts in the steering mechanism, which are not very commonly seen in India these days. Then there is a safety precaution in the steering mechanism called the collapsible steering. Collapsible steering is just for the safety of the steering of the driver when there is a frontal collision. In this, previously it used to happen that when there is a frontal collision, the steering rod used to hit the driver and hurt the driver. These days, for the impact to dampen inside, we have a modern concept called the collapsible steering rod, which collapses in case of an impact. Like this is the steering rod before collapse and after collapse. There's a key over here which breaks according to the impact.